Well, a new diplomatic twist in the extradition battle over WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Ecuador says Britain has threatened to raid its embassy just hours before it announces whether Assange will be granted asylum. The WikiLeaks founder has been holed up in the embassy for weeks, fighting his extradition from the UK to Sweden. He's wanted there for questioning over allegations of rape and sexual molestation. Earlier, Ecuador's foreign minister blasted Britain for the alleged threat against its embassy.
It's been almost 2 months since he sought refuge at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Now Ecuador says the British government has threatened to raid the embassy if they don't hand him over.
Today we have received a clear written threat from the UK that they can raid our embassy in London if Ecuador doesn't hand over Julian Assange. We want to be absolutely clear that we are not a British colony, that the days of the British colony are over.
It's clear that
the former computer hacker and WikiLeaks chief is trying to avoid extradition to Sweden, where he's wanted for questioning over sex crime allegations. Assange says he fears he could be whisked off to America, where his life would be at risk. The British government were quick to respond to Ecuador's claims. There was no denial a raid had not been planned. In a statement released on Wednesday, the Foreign Office said, "We have consistently made our position clear in our discussions with the government of Ecuador. The UK has a legal obligation to extradite Mr. Assange to Sweden to face questions over allegations of sexual offences, and we remain determined to fulfill this obligation."
Ecuador will announce its decision regarding a request for asylum by Assange later today amid speculation it has already decided to grant it. The former computer hacker fled to the embassy in June after losing his battle against extradition to Sweden over allegations of sexual offences. Britain says it must uphold its legal obligations and would prefer a diplomatic solution.
If push comes to shove, the Foreign Office said it could revoke the embassy's status under British law, a process that would take 1 week's time, thus allowing police to enter the building and arrest Assange. British authorities say they are determined to extradite him to Sweden, where he's wanted for questioning over rape allegations. But the WikiLeaks founder claims Swedish authorities would hand him over to the US for spying charges. Assange's whistleblowing website published more than 250,000 sensitive diplomatic documents. Ecuador will decide whether to grant him asylum status on Thursday, but even if it does, British police say they will arrest Assange on site.
The UK's comments have provoked angry protests, both in Quito and in London, where his supporters gathered on the doorstep of the Ecuadorian embassy.
Britain are making threats to a sovereign nation to try and coerce them to release or force somebody out of the embassy in the middle of the night.
I think it's an affront to principles of international law, and the danger is here that if the British government do go ahead and storm the embassy at a later point, that there will be repercussions across embassies across the world.
Ecuador will decide on Thursday whether or not to grant Mr. Assange asylum. But the British government has made it clear it's determined to extradite him to Sweden, saying the UK has a legal obligation to do so.